country, downtown Port Allen. Today on Sports Shorts, we're going to get into talking about what's going on with the LSU Tigers. Coach O admits a number of mistakes, makes a quarterback change again for the game against ULM. We'll get into that. The Saints an underdog on the road at Philadelphia, even though Philadelphia is below 500. So that tells you what you need to know right now about the New Orleans Saints. Also, we'll get into some of the big stories that are going around the country. Jimbo Fisher had some comments about the LSU job. Doesn't look like he's coming to Baton Rouge. Also, whatever happened to Le'Veon Bell? He just got cut yesterday by the Baltimore Ravens. And will the Cam Newton reunion work? Tommy Krysan has some reaction to those moves as well. Don't go anywhere. Sports Shorts will continue right after this message from LeBear's Casino.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at LeBear's Baton Rouge. What's your story?
TK joining us from Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Tommy, I guess if you're an LSU football fan, you can't wait for the season to get to the end, to the finish line quick enough, right?
I agree. I think the only people that don't want it to end are the football players. I mean, they want to play. You know, they want to do well. They want to compete. They want to show what they can do for the next coaching staff. But other than that, Ronnie, I mean, 8 o'clock, 6 kick Saturday night, Louisiana Monroe, 29-point favorites. I don't expect to see a really big crowd. But the general consensus everywhere and everybody I talk to is like, man, let's get this thing over with so we can learn who the new coach is, who the new coach hires, how the early signing day goes on December 15th. That's really the focus right now.
So, finally, Jimbo Fisher has come out and said what I kind of expected this, right? The guy's making $10 million a year. He's got a $100 million contract. He got an extension this past year. I mean, you never leave a job to take less money. Even Kim Mulkey, when she left Baylor, it wasn't because LSU blew her out the water. They gave her a little bit more money, but it was more like, you got to give me at least the same or more. Well, with Jimbo coming in, can LSU really afford to pay $10 million or want to? Okay, we'll give you $11 million. And then, oh, by the way, he's not doing that amazing. Throw out the Alabama game, and you wouldn't be like, oh, let's go get Jimbo Fisher. So finally, he steps to the podium this week, says, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. Blah, blah. And I believe him. I mean, I think this is what, if you're a Texas A&M fan, that's what you wanted to hear. You wanted him to say that, like, I'm not leaving. This is too great of a deal, blah, 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 blah. But if you're LSU, okay, we can move on from the whole Jimbo Fisher talk. Now, next up, Lincoln Riley, right? I mean, that's the next one. I keep waiting for that podium, speech. I just hope, Tommy, that LSU is doing it this way. They've got their rankings, however it is, and I know we'll have our rankings on Saturday on Sports Shorts Radio. We'll rank our top 6, you, me, and Derry Beckwith, our top 6 candidates on who we think, in order, by the way, that we each think, would be the guy for the job. But I hope LSU has their rankings and they start at 1 and they work their way down, and they don't jump around or assume someone doesn't want the job. Just like Jimbo Fisher kind of made it known to the world, I'm not going to candidate for the LSU job. I want Nick Saban. I want Dabo Swinney. I want them to have to tell, or their agents or whatever, to have to say, sorry, thanks for the call, but we're not interested.
there's so many layers in these coach search things. You got agents put a guy's name out there so they can get a raise where they're at. I mean, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But you and I have seen hundreds of these statements by coaches over the years for a long time. But when I listen to Jimbo Fisher's most recent statement, there's no way he's leaving A&M to go to LSU. I believe that. I bet $100 bill on it. And of course, if he got named coach, I'd lose. But I just don't think he's going. Where Lincoln Riley's answer was really different. It was 180 degrees the other way. That, I love Oklahoma. I'm happy. I'm the coach here. We do this every year. Jimbo basically closed the door. Lincoln left a little crack in the door. But, there's a lot of other names out there. We got to trust Scott Woodward. His track record speaks for itself. I think he's going to come up with somebody. And if you're an LSU fan, you got to get behind whoever he hires.
Look, whoever's the next coach at LSU, people are going to be excited for him until he loses his first game. But the one thing
when they open with Florida State next year, they're not going to lose that.
Yeah, in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, in the Superdome, right?
Yeah, in New Orleans in the dome. That's going to be fun. I mean, just the names across the chest is going to be great. And the colors and whatnot. Who knows? Florida State may have Deion Sanders as their coach next year. You never know.
Well, he might be at LSU.
Oh, nah, I don't think so. So Coach O steps to the podium on Monday and doesn't hold back. I feel like at this point he's just letting it fly. Got nothing to lose. Got my contract. Don't care. I mean, he's never been a really too much of a care what he says kind of guy. He's always been pretty transparent, pretty open. I feel like now it's, hey, he could give two shits. He's got nothing to lose. I'm going to let it fly. And he admits that he hired the wrong offensive coordinator, that he wished he should have hired someone with more experience. He didn't. But the question that I want him to answer, and maybe when he's done as the coach at LSU and he does one of these sit-down interviews and he's retrospective a year from now or something like that, why? Why didn't you? Why did you make mistakes hiring coordinators throughout your entire time at LSU? What happened? But did you just not trust yourself and you just turn the hires over to other people? What is it? That's what I really want to know. Why did you screw up so badly with one of the top jobs in America? LSU, offense defense coordinator, is a top 3-4 job in America based on the talent and the level of pay. How do you get that wrong?
Well, I'm like you. We're going to know whether that's 3 months from now or next August when football season's cranking up. Somebody's going to sit down with him, and then he can be a little more forthright with some of that. But, he did the same thing at Ole Miss. That was part of the reason he didn't succeed at Ole Miss. Certainly not the only reason. But at LSU, in 2020, he hired the guys without even meeting face-to-face. I mean, I think he just made too many assumptions. And then he listened to Joe Brady about Jake Peetz. Peetz might be the best offensive coordinator in the world 10 years from now. But he can't handle it. You can't do on-the-job training at LSU or in the Southeastern Conference or in most places. So, and we all knew that after the UCLA game. I mean, I harped on it that whole week. Like, this guy can't call plays. He's not ready for this level. And then now that's proved out. And now Coach O, says what everybody knows. And I'm sure it frustrated Coach O, behind closed doors. But it also got to the point where he couldn't do anything about it. Now he can admit it. And his hiring of coordinators is near the top of the list of why he's no longer the coach at LSU.
He also admitted a mistake at quarterback, although he didn't say it was a mistake to try Nussmeier, but he admitted it didn't work, and now he's going back to Max Johnson when – Tommy, if he'd have just if Coach O would have simply done what he said he was going to do last week, when he said he was going to play them both a couple of series, and then if there was a hot hand, stick with that a little while, and then as soon as it cooled off, go back to the other guy. If it had simply done what he said he was going to do, I really believe LSU would have won the game. But instead he didn't. He rode Nussmeier, and a guy who's a true freshman who doesn't have any major experience made true freshman mistakes.
Well, it was daddy ball. And I guess Brad Johnson called him up and said, hey, let my son start this week. You should have put him back in. Now he's doing it. He's letting other people call the shots. He is looking out for the best interest of the kids. I think he played Nussmeier because he wanted Nussmeier to be able to show what he could do or not do. But, the coaches are supposed to always take care of their players. But it's just another layer in all the things that have gone wrong with LSU football.
The thing that is very I guess concerning for LSU is that I don't man the way that locker room was. I'll say this: after the game, when I was doing the CST post game show and was in the bowels of the stadium and by the locker room, it was pretty clear there was a division, Tommy, at least when they came into the locker room initially, between the offense and defense. I mean, the defensive players were not happy. It was a lot of what more do we need to do or what more can we do? And then, of course, from the O side and the coach side, it was let's stick together. Everybody stay together. Everybody stay together. That kind of talk. Now, I'm sure as soon as the game's over with and everybody's very emotional, and I'm sure a few minutes later, those guys, that's their brothers on the other side, and those guys are fine. But that's kind of how the fans feel. But it's not just how the fans feel; it's how the players feel as well. That's 2 weeks in a row. LSU should have won the football game. LSU's defense played well enough to win. LSU's defense turned the ball over and gave the offense a chance from a standpoint of did what they needed to do. All the offense had to do was just be average, and they couldn't. They were below average, and you end up losing the game. And then now, you put yourself in a situation where you have no margin for error. I don't know that it really matters whether LSU 6 wins or 7 wins, but it does from a standpoint of now you're in last place in the West. You're going to be last place in the West. You never want to be last place in the West. So 7 wins, not being last place, beat an Arkansas team that beat Texas and Texas A&M and had some good moments, beat an A&M team that beat Alabama and had some good moments this year. That would be something you could, 3 wins in a row. You could finish on a high note and think that the next coach is going to come here with momentum. I don't know if they win the last 2 games, Tommy, if it'll change the way we feel right now about this LSU team.
I don't think it'll change the way you feel. The old cliche, let the young underclassmen get those 10, 12 bowl practices in and go experience the fun of playing a bowl game, even if it's in Birmingham, Shreveport, wherever. But, they got to win both games. And I think they're going to beat Louisiana Monroe. I'll be shocked if they don't. A&M is going to be a favorite coming into Tiger Stadium, but I'm like you. There's just not a lot of team chemistry. A lot of people don't like that word, but LSU doesn't have it. I mean, you're right. The defense has played well enough to win, and then they're looking at the other guys like, really, you couldn't score with 13 points? Come on.
All right, let's see a couple of reactions here. We were talking earlier about the coaching hire and how Jimbo basically took himself out of contention, even if, we're not saying he was offered. But I think Billy, this is from Chance, he thinks Billy Napier, if he's not hired is what he means, will haunt us for years somewhere else, meaning that obviously Chance a Billy Napier fan at UL, and if he's not hired at LSU, he might go someplace else, be successful, haunt the Tigers. I'll say this about Billy Napier. I know most people, Tommy, and think that there's this giant leap between the Sun Belt and the SEC, and there clearly is. But coaching, right? If you can coach, you can coach, you can coach. He's been at the big-time level at Clemson and LSU and has all the pedigree. But if he does not get serious consideration from LSU, and you would think it would be hard to imagine that Scott Woodward would truly go after Billy Napier over someone else, over a proven head coach at a bigger conference. But if he doesn't, stay tuned for Texas. I don't know what's going to happen at the University of Texas with Steve Sarkisian. But, I mean, they've lost 5 in a row, and they got beat by Kansas at home. And there's a great video that's out on social media with some of the recruits laughing in the stands. Literally, some 4- and 5-star recruits were at the game, and they're in the stands, and they're holding up the video, and they're in the end zone near where the final play was, where Kansas scored the 2-point conversion. And they're laughing for about 30 seconds about, oh, my God, I can't believe they lost to Kansas. Clearly, you don't expect those players to end up at Texas, right? But if they continue, I mean, they may just implode this whole Sarkisian thing. I mean, in year one. But so who knows? There's going to be some movement. What about Dave Aranda with the job he's doing at Baylor? Is there a bigger job for him? Opportunity, but Billy Napier, man, he's going to be on a lot of people's list. But don't sweat the Texas job if something crazy happens over there right now. Also, Tommy Chance says, might have been interviewing blondes more than coaches. Ha, ha, ha. We'll leave that there. But he definitely wasn't interviewing coaches. I don't know about the blondes.
We know that, yeah.
He wasn't interviewing coaches. Talk about the decision to go to Max Johnson this week.
I think he's the better quarterback. If you look at, we know more about Max Johnson as a quarterback than we do Nussmeier, but I think you got to go with him. He's got more experience. He can read the defenses a little better, and there was on-the-job training for Nussmeier. So I think you got to put Johnson out there, and unless he just totally, lays an egg, I let him play the game. Unless he gets up 35-0, then maybe you put Nussmeier in. But I think you got to give it to Johnson. You tell him, hey, this game's yours, unless we decide to make a move. But Nussmeier's not coming in on the third series or the fourth series. This is your game. That two quarterback system, every now and then there's a spark, but it doesn't really work in the big picture. I say go with Johnson, his experience, let him, start the game off well. You're playing Louisiana Monroe and grow on that. Because I think you're going to need Max Johnson in order to beat A&M. So let him play against Monroe.
Speaking of UL Monroe, they've won 4 games, 2 of them in conference. Those aren't, big giant numbers, but they're competitive and better than they have been. I don't expect they have any chance of beating LSU this week. But, that said, the only sweat, I guess, on this one is ULM, the 29. What's your take? What's your early read on if LSU can cover the 29?
I'm going to stay away from that. I mean, because you never know if, it's 35-3, then all of a sudden Monroe gets a touchdown with 2.5 minutes to go because they're going to try to score. They want to score in Tiger Stadium or, whatever. So I would stay completely away from that 29-point spread. You don't always have to bet. So sometimes that might be the good move to say, hey, I'll find another point spread, another game. Listen to us on Sports Shorts Daily. We've been pretty hot there. We're hitting more than not. So, you don't always have to bet LSU if you live here in Baton Rouge.
ULM has lost three in a row after beating South Alabama and Liberty back-to-back games. People thought they were moving in the right direction. Appalachian State, who's a pretty good team and a really good team, they beat them. They beat ULM by 31. That was 3 games ago. ULM's last game, they lost to Arkansas State at home by 3. That was a game they probably should have won. The 29 is a sweat. I think if you just had to bet the game, and I kind of feel like you, Tommy, I don't know that I don't trust LSU's offense right now as bad as it is, so I probably would leave it alone. But if I had to bet it, I would take LSU minus the 20.
Yeah, if you're Jones in the put your $20 bill or your $100 bill down. Maybe you want to do the 20 and put it on the 29, or maybe bet $29 on 29 points. What the heck?
It's definitely not going to be my. It's definitely not going to be my strong play.
It will not be a play at meatandpotatoesusa.com.
That's right. All right, let's talk a little bit about one of the stories that caught my eye, and there's a couple of former greats, MVP type players that are in the news this past week. One being Cam Newton, returning home to Carolina last week, scored a couple touchdowns. I've never been a giant fan of Cam Newton. The antics are too much for me. Although I always I give him credit for having heart and being a warrior as far as a quarterback is concerned. I've seen the guy take unbelievable hits and just keep getting up and keep on ticking, particularly against the Saints. I'm just shocked, Tommy, that the Carolina Panthers decided they wanted to put themselves back in the Cam Newton world with a guy who shows up an hour after games to press conferences, as you've said many times, dressed as a woman, which is a great line. I just don't understand why they would want to go down this road again when he's not the long-term solution anyway.
I know it was quite odd and surprising that they would put up with him. He's not about the team; he's about himself, and he's a selfish player. And I don't think you win championships with selfish players. So I was surprised he went there. Of course, the first snap he got the little touchdown. He rolled around the right side, fell in the end zone, and then took his helmet off to get a penalty. Which again, that's because he doesn't care about the team. But I don't think that's long term. But, it's getting some attention, and they needed a quarterback. They needed somebody that could move them up and down the field and score some points because as a football player, Newton's got a lot of upside, if he cares. And, we'll see what happens.
By the way, speaking of older great players, Joe Flacco going to get a start. Flacco going to get a start for the Jets this week.
I didn't even know he was still in the league.
Yeah, Zach Wilson not healthy. White threw 4 interceptions last week against Buffalo. They had actually traded for Flacco back in October. He was on the Eagles roster. So Joe Flacco going to get to start and probably play quarterback until Zach Wilson can be back ready to go. The other player, which, when I saw this news, it made me go, what in the hell happened? Le'Veon Bell was cut by the Ravens. Le'Veon Bell, it wasn't that long ago, Tommy, that he was, a Pro Bowler, maybe arguably the best all-around running back in the NFL. Things went weird over in Philadelphia with the Steelers. And then next thing you know, he's in New York, not doing anything. And here he is, maybe not even playing anymore in the NFL. What the hell happened to Le'Veon Bell, in your opinion?
Well, Ronnie, running backs are a dime a dozen now. Gone are the days of Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton and Barry Sanders and Eric Dickerson. Guys are going to, be a forced running back for 10, 12 years in the league. Those days don't exist now. Now it's about quarterbacks and wide receivers, But Bell, I mean, again, the length of the career for a running back in the NFL is significantly shorter than it used to be, and they got to put all the money in the quarterback and the wide receivers and the left tackle and the quarterback. They can find somebody else to run the football and pick up 80 yards a game or 90 yards a game or have a big day and get 115. That's what it is because it's all about throwing the football. So Bell, who was so talented, ran so hard. I mean, like you say, he's the best running back in football 3-4 years ago. Now, somebody that has a bunch of injuries might pick him up, but that'll be a short term. That's putting a Band-Aid on the cut on the arm. It's not long-term stuff. But I think that's just kind of the whole course of the running backs, the landscape of it nowadays in the NFL.
So Le'Veon Bell, his story, his first 5 years in the league, Tommy, he had over 5,000 total yards, third most in all NFL running backs during that stretch. Okay. He was a Pro Bowler. He could run, he could catch, he was everything. Sat out the 2018 season in a contract dispute with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then basically has never been the same since. He's got about 1,200 yards or so total offense since then. He's only 29 years old, which is unbelievable. I mean, this guy, it was a second-round pick. He was the face of the franchise next to Ben Roethlisberger. He was considered, one of the top 2-3 running backs in the league, and here he is, healthy. Just never been the same ever since he decided to sit out that 2018 year. It's almost like Antonio Brown, kind of like the same thing, right? Like, whatever happened in Pittsburgh, they thought they were bigger than the game. And and with all those off the field issues, neither one of them has been a shell of themselves.
Well, hopefully he's got a bunch of money in the bank, and because who knows how much more he's going to earn in the NFL. But it's a story that makes you shake your head. But then when you do the deep dive into it, you can kind of figure out, okay, he's a running back. They can get somebody else to carry the ball for a lot less money.
All right. I want to get a comment here on this. Jarvis Landry says the departure of OBJ stung a little bit. That was his good friend. That was his wide receiver buddy. That was something that hurt and still does. But OBJ, I mean, you over in Los Angeles, I mean, the curse of Odell Beckham. By the way, I was talking to Jarvis Green, the former LSU defensive lineman who won the Super Bowl with the Patriots. He was playing with us yesterday in Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame golf tournament. And we were joking about it. He said, man, the curse of OBJ is a real thing. I mean, He goes over there, the first practice, Robert Woods out for the year with an ACL. The offense does nothing. OBJ not on the same page with Stafford. He forces a couple of interceptions because he's not on the same page. And then what did he say this week?
Well, he said they don't know how to win. And, of course, he had to know that every camera would be on him on the sideline. And there he is, jumping on Stafford. I mean, look, I can tell you this. I said this on the radio. I said it last week on Sports Shorts Daily. LSU couldn't wait to get rid of him. The Giants couldn't wait to get rid of him. The Browns couldn't wait to get rid of him. And the Rams look forward to the day they could get rid of him, too.
It's, be careful what you wish for. I kind of wanted the Saints to get Odell Beckham Jr. because I know they need some help at the wide receiver position. But
on that, I found out Peyton did reach out to OBJ. Sean Payton did. But then as soon as the Rams came in the picture, OBJ stopped talking to Peyton. I got good inside info on
that. Let's see. Chance Babb in some comments. Carolina's still paying Teddy and Darnold to replace Cam, and now they're playing Cam again. You're right. The only thing worse than Coach O's coaching hires is the Carolina Panthers.
Well, maybe the Panthers will get OBJ, and him and Cam can, be like roommates on the road.
What's up, Jeff Lanou, back from the dead? I'm glad to know Jeff's alive and well, doing good. Good to see you, man. He says, which coach makes the easiest transition? Talking about the LSU.
Billy Napier. He's only got to move an hour.
But seriously, I don't know if there's which coach makes the transition? Probably, and I know Billy Napier, it might be one because the guy's in Louisiana. He's recruiting the high schools. He's intimately has knowledge with everything kind of going on in South Louisiana. He's had a relationship with LSU. LSU's coaching staff and UL's coaching staff are friends. They've done some joint things together at clinics and whatnot. So in theory, that would be, and he would have no problem getting big-time coordinating with them. Beyond that, Lincoln Riley's the guy that everybody wants because they see that offense and they want to bring that to Baton Rouge. But Lincoln Riley going from the Big 12 and the way that league plays and to Baton Rouge, that's probably not as easy a transition as you would think. So Billy, but I don't know, Jeff. But I don't. That's a good question though. Which one makes the big easiest transition? There's a lesson.
Well, who's the guy that's most used to moving around, Ronnie? Lane Kiffin. Think about it. You talk about
he's got a storage unit, that's for sure. He rents. He doesn't buy.
Well, yeah. Maybe
you just got rid of a coach and you didn't like what Coach O was doing ever since he got a divorce, and there's a lot of rumors about his personal life and whatnot. You get a guy like Lane Kiffin, albeit I'm sure he's older and more matured and blah blah blah, but he's got a track record. He's got history. He loves the Twitter wire and all that kind of stuff. I think Lane Kiffin would make an AD or administrator just a little bit nervous. You're turning the keys over to a guy, and there's a lot of faith and a lot of trust that he's going to say and do all the right things. I don't know if they want to go down that road. Whenever you get rid of a coach or you get rid of a relationship, you hire the opposite of what you got rid of. And Lane Kiffin, I don't know if he's opposite enough.
Well, then you go get Bill O'Brien, about as vanilla as it gets.
Yeah. Whatever's listen, do you have to be out there if you're the LSU football coach? The best facilities, as good as anybody in the country, the best talent, as good as anybody in the country, the history, the tradition, 3 national championships, 3 different coaches, all very different type people. Why do you have to go get a wild and crazy guy that's, going to in-your-face type of guy? Just go get a good coach. Go get a good coach who hires a good staff and knows what he's doing. It's hard to mess up this job. I mean, that's proven, right?
You got to get somebody that's going to go to work. And when Orgeron first got the permanent head job, he went to work. After he won the national championship, he quit working. There's no two ways about that. You got to get a guy that's going to work, and, try to get LSU back into competing for championships. Man, we dancing around.
Yeah, I'm trying a little different button here.
It's all good. It's all good.
Chance makes a good point. He says there's a lesson for young players to learn from Bell's holdout. He never was the same player, never got back money he lost. Yeah, look, your time in the NFL is too short, man.
Yeah, you're right. NFL, not for long if you don't do – that's what it stands for if you don't do the right thing. Not for long.
100%. All right, thanks to some of the folks. Good to see you, Jeff. Thanks to all the folks watching Sports Shorts presented by LeBear's Casino. Special shout out to LeBear's Casino. The sports book is open now 24/7. They even have the kiosk on the casino floor, so it's literally 24/7. You can bet on sports books. And, of course, they've got the man kiosk and where you can go up and place your bets, ask questions, whatever, during the week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and then to 11 on the weekends. We'll be back there the second and fourth Saturday each and every month. Sports Church Radio this Saturday will be at Walk-Ons and Bruley. Tommy, tell us about Court Street Cafe.
Well, the lunch special today is baked fish. Tomorrow night you got the steak dinner special. Friday night, all you can eat fish. 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, dinner. They got a really nice sized patio. You know, we got this nice weather like y'all had for the golf tournament yesterday. Folks were sitting on the patio this morning when I got here eating their breakfast. So Court Street Cafe, 805 Court Street, 2 minutes the other side of the Mississippi River Bridge. If you're coming from Baton Rouge, you need to check this place out. Jason and Chancey and the staff do a wonderful job. Post their specials on Facebook and Instagram on a regular basis. Court Street Cafe. You need to check them out. You'll be glad you did.
By the way, on Friday on Sports Shorts Daily on Friday morning, we'll have some video from the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame golf tournament and party and whatnot on Monday and Tuesday. We'll show it to you on Sports Shorts Daily Saturday morning.
Did anybody make a hole in one?
Nobody made a hole in one, although John Peterson, the former professional golfer, played in a tournament. And he had one of the greatest shots I've ever seen, Tommy, on hole number 11 at University Club, which is a dog leg, par 5. Yeah. Second shot, he's laying about 220 out, probably 210 somewhere up in there. 220, takes a 5-iron and puts it literally on the lip of the cup.
Well, he's a pro, you know.
I mean that's an elevated.
He's a great guy. I met him and talked to him a little bit a few years back. He is a really great guy, and I like all his social media stuff too. It's an elevated green, water on the right, valley on the left. I mean, it is just. I mean, you got to make the perfect golf shot. He did, and it literally should have been a double eagle, but it ended up eagling the hole. Pretty unbelievable. How did Coach Maneri do?
I didn't see his number. He played with Dee Bro and the Calandro boys from Calandro Supermarket. So I'll have to find out from Taylor how Coach Maneri.
We got to get a report on Coach Maneri's golf round in the LA Sports Hall of Fame Classic.
He went on the leaderboard.
When's the next golf tournament?
It'll be in the spring. We're working on the details in the spring, sometime March, April, sometime in the spring of 22. It'll either be in North Louisiana, either Shreveport or Spire Creek.
I got somebody that wanted to be a vendor, but we'll get you next time you come to this part of the state. I got you.
Next fall.
Yeah, I got you one. Done deal.
All right, he's Tommy. I'm Ronnie. Thanks for watching Sports Shorts Daily Friday morning. Please like and share this video. That's how we pay the bills. Appreciate it.